Hello and welcome to another session of AQS Guild Buzz with Bonnie. And today we're going to go to Arizona, and I have with me Karen Fisher, who is the president of the Tucson, Arizona Quilt Guild. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you for having me. And it's the Tucson Quilters Guild, as far as
Quilters.
the proper name.
Okay. All right. And is it Quilters S apostrophe?
No, it isn't.
No
There's
apostrophe.
there's no apostrophe on there. We are
Okay.
grammatically incorrect.
Well, it's a title, so you can get by with it when you do a title, right?
Yes.
Well, I know that we have lots of snowbirds go to Arizona for the winter, and I'm sure that a lot of them go both to your guild meetings and to your quilt show. Yours is one of the first ones held at the beginning of each year. So when was the last time that you held a quilt show there?
We had our full quilt show in February. Um, and as far as snowbirds, we do have many members who live elsewhere during Tucson's murderously hot summers, and
Yes.
then they come in the winter. So lots of people who live in two different places depending on the time of year.
Okay, and so tell us a little bit about your guild and how that affects the people there in the city of Tucson.
The Tucson Quilters Guild, before COVID, met on the third Wednesday of each month and the Tuesday evening before. Several years ago, we had so many people requesting a full evening meeting that we worked with all of our planned incoming speakers to change their contracts to be able to do two full lectures, two complete meetings. And then when a speaker gives a workshop, it's either the Thursday after, or if they give a longer workshop or two workshops, it's the Thursday and Friday after those meetings. And the board meeting for people who are interested in getting more involved is the first Wednesday of the month. And in the last several months, we have been doing all of our board meetings via Zoom. So it's been an interesting last year, as you well know.
We sure do. Well, so tell us how many members that you have there in your guild.
Right now, our membership is at about 400. Tucson has one big group. Now, there are some surrounding communities that are an hour and a half away who have their own smaller groups. Many of them are members of the big Tucson Guild as well. Our membership has seemed to stay steady through this last year, and we're working very hard to keep them connected so that they will stay with us as we get past this very odd time in our country.
Yes, for sure. Well, I know that like many other quilt guilds, your guild does a lot of things for different charitable groups there in your community.
Yes, we
Tell us what
do.
your guild does.
Well, we do have a whole committee called Quilting for Others, and they are making and donating quilts all through the year. They go out to Southern Arizona State Veterans Home, Tucson Medical Center Hospice, University of Arizona Women's Cancer Unit, Mount Lemmon Fire District, Southern Arizona Firefighters Association, Southern Arizona Musicians for Healing, Healing Hugs, Rough Animal Rescue. We send pillowcases and stockings to the Candlelighters, which is an organization for children's cancer. Answers for Life Pregnancy Center, baby quilts, and quilts on quilts on quilts that are just going out all through the year.
Yes.
And in August, we have our big Quilt-A-Thon, which is like a monster quilting bee. We hold it in the hall where we normally meet. It's a big church hall, like many churches have. And like a monster quilting bee. We sew and we quilt and we eat and we talk, and it's great fun. And then all of those quilts go out into the community. And this past year with COVID, we had people, we called it a flyby. people came by and picked up kits, and the next month they came by and dropped some off and picked up more. And over the, let's see, from August to November, we've gotten 200 quilts that
Wow,
started
that's
with
wonderful.
that event, figuring out how to do it without an actual in-person big quilting bee meeting.
Well, Karen, our program today is being sponsored by Handy Quilter, and we're going to take just a few seconds and hear from Handy Quilter.
Hey, it's Kim Sandberg of Handy Quilters Watch and Learn. We're offering a special deal to friends of Bonnie's Guild Buzz in Arizona during Cyber Week. Check out your local retailer or handyquilter.com for more details.
Well, so Handy Quilter will be giving away a sewing machine as a result of their sponsorship of this program. And at the end of the show, I'm going to tell you exactly how you and all of your members in your guild and all of those watching us in the audience can go register for that sewing machine. Have you been doing any workshops or lectures via Zoom or in person with your guild during the COVID?
Not through the summer, but my program chairs at one of our summer meetings said we need to get programs going again. So we have now had Zoom programs September and October and November. And in all 3 of those months, we have had workshops. We were on the same schedule. We had our Tuesday evening meeting and our Wednesday morning meeting and the Thursday workshop. And I took one of the Thursday workshops, and the funniest thing that the teacher said was that everybody was getting so much work done because we weren't all sitting and talking that she was having to kind of speed up her presentation schedule. So that was kind of funny. And then for show and tell on Zoom in the following month, those of us who have been taking the workshop have been sending photos for show and tell to our program chair so that she can share those with the rest of the guild to show that those workshops have been very successful.
Well, I know I've been doing more sewing lately than I had been previous to being stuck at home because of the coronavirus. But I see that a lot of people are posting on Facebook lots of work that they're getting completed. You know, all those UFOs we have sitting in the closet?
Yes.
A lot of us are digging those out and getting those finished up. And so is that what you've been doing?
Well, I've been finishing some things, but I've also been starting some things. I took over doing Block of the Month for the Tucson Quilters Guild. And the first block that I designed, I called COVID-19 block. And then I made a whole quilt from it. And then I actually got that quilt into a show. So that was a brand new piece. I have been finishing some things. I've gotten involved in a couple of, there are a couple of movements that sounded interesting to me that I wanted to make some blocks and donate to. So that's what I personally have done. However, sadly, I've not been in close touch with most of my quilting friends as far as knowing what they're doing, except for my queen of mask making, who has coordinated the making of hundreds of masks that have mostly gone to schools. Schools have contacted the guild generally through me, and I send out a message to my worker bees, and they have just made masks and masks and masks and masks. And I've been so proud of them because they all go out into the community.
Well, I think we'll all be wearing, you know, I have mine around my neck. Here in the office, if I'm in my office, I don't have to wear it because we're spaced out. But
Right.
if we go into a meeting, then I need to put it on. So I wear a mask around my neck every single day. And I know that a lot of schools have done exactly that, where they've contacted their local quilters and said, can you make masks? In fact, I just answered a phone call just a few minutes ago of a man in Asheville, North Carolina, who was looking to buy some masks. And I was quoted in an article that was in the New York Times. So people are still finding that article and often call here. And so what I do is I tell them, I look up for them who their local quilt guild might be and
Right.
try to find a contact information to give them to then contact their local quilters. I've even had contacts like that from Canada wanting to buy masks, and I was able to hook them up with a local quilt guild to be able to get masks for them.
Right.
I believe we're going to be making and wearing these for quite some time yet. I want to talk about that pretty quilt that's hanging behind you a little bit. That's really
Oh my
pretty.
goodness. That is my quilt. It's called Matrix. Oh my goodness, I can't remember its name. I made it 16 years ago. Something about synergy, which is an odd word that means basically more than the sum of its parts, which all of our quilts end up being because we always end up with unexpected interactions of color and pattern than we started out with when it was a pattern in a book. Anyway, this is my pattern, and it is actually in a book that I wrote with AQS called Easy Grid Quilts. However, I am now the only resource for that book because I made it long enough ago that when AQS gave me the option of buying the remaining copies, I bought them all.
Okay, I've done that same thing with some of my books.
But the pattern for it is in that book, and I actually had a friend in the Tucson Quilters Guild who loved it from the first time she saw it, and when the book came out, she made her own.
Well,
So
I
it
can tell
has
you that
676 little blocks, and but I give the information on how to make it and
well,
how to
yes,
make
and
it
I can see
manageable.
that you have to have a pretty good fabric stash because you have a lot of different colors of fabrics in there.
I do. There are 26 colors and probably 8 to 10 different fabrics in each color. When I was shopping for it, it was interesting because the year I was making it, the light green that I was looking for was not in fashion, thank you very much. And it was very hard to find. So I never thought about colors going in and out of fashion in quilting the way they do in clothing, but they definitely do.
Well, I think it kind of follows. You know, when we get an olivey green in clothing, then we usually get an olivey green in quilt
Mhm.
fabric, don't we?
Yes.
Well, I know some people think that Tucson is just a small little town south of Phoenix. But tell us about your city because it is not a small city, is it?
It's not. The Tucson-Pima County area is about 1 million people. And I say Tucson-Pima County because Tucson doesn't really have suburbs. There are lots of surrounding communities that just think of themselves as part of Tucson. Um, Very heavily into research, in cancer research, in astronomy. We have the first university in the state, and it has about 35,000 students when it's going full bore in a regular year. So one of the ways that we've connected with that medical research is through a group called Quilt for a Cause, which I hadn't mentioned yet, but they grew out of the Tucson Quilters Guild in the early 2000s. And since then, they have raised, through donations of quilts to them, and then they sell the quilts, they have raised over $1 million.
Oh,
That
that's
has stayed
wonderful.
in southern Arizona, and that money has gone to research, to care for patients, to breast cancer screenings, to all levels of cancer treatment. And we're very, very proud of them. And they're still a big part of the guild. They present at all the guild meetings. They're part of the board as far as what they're doing. They're a pretty amazing group, and I wanted to make sure that I mentioned them today because they're kind of a sister group. They're not official, they're officially their own group now, but they are widely supported by Tucson quilters as well as quilters around the state.
Well, what a wonderful program that your guild is involved with there.
Yes.
Okay, Karen, are there any other things that you want to talk about your guild? Like if somebody was coming to the Tucson area and wanted to find out about the guilds, how would they contact you?
To contact me, the easiest thing to do is to send an email to president@TucsonQuiltersGuild.com. And even when my term as president ends at the end of March, that will roll over to the next president. What I do, because generally people look at our newsletter, at our website, and instead of trying to figure out from all the different addresses who's the best person to contact, they send their questions to me about masks, about donations, about just anything to do with the guild, and then I forward those on to other board members who can give them the information that they need. And that has seemed to work quite smoothly. I know that just in the time I've been president, there have been some huge donations of fabric and quilts and magazines and all kinds of things. We have quite a large library, so we do accept all those things. And I never know how much stuff I might have in my car or stashed in my garage before I can move it on to the appropriate people. But that's been, it's interesting, the requests that I get and the information that people are asking for. So I respond as quickly as I can and make sure that the people get the information they're looking for.
All right. Well, I want to invite you and all of your guild members and all of our audience out here today to go to quiltweek.com/guildbuzz and register for the Handy Quilter sewing machine. I know a lot of people know that Handy Quilter makes long arm machines and the sit down long arms, but I'm not sure everybody knows they also make home sewing machines, and they're giving away an HQ 710, which is a machine that has 170 built-in stitches. It has a 9mm foot on it, so you can do the wide decorative stitches. And it also has a knee lift, and the value of that machine is $3,495. And somebody's going to win it, so I want to encourage you all to go and register. Again, that's quiltweek.com/guildbuzz. And while you're there, we have a short survey. Right now we're doing a survey about taking classes online. And we always like to get input from all of you, and so please go fill out that. I think it's only 7 questions long, and let us know if you're taking classes and a little bit about those.
All right, thank you, Bonnie. I've enjoyed talking about the Guild, and I hope that when people come to Tucson, we will be hopefully having a virtual version of a show in early spring, but I didn't want to say too much because we haven't figured it out yet. When we have figured it out, that will be on our website and where to look for that information and how to watch it.
Well, and you know that we've canceled all of the AQS quilt events for 2021. You know,
Right.
It takes us many months to put together a show, as you well know. You just don't do
Yes.
that overnight. And consequently, we should have already had our staff back in the office working on that, and we just can't do that right now. So
Exactly.
I want to thank you and thank everyone who's joined us today. And please wear your masks. They protect you and me. And wash your hands, and we'll see you back here next week.
All right. Thank you, Bonnie.